Annex A technological controls is quite a lot of them, and they sit in the Annex A part of ISO 27001 alongside the other three families of organizational, people, and physical controls. I think that what people tend to think about when they talk about ISO 27001 and security generally, they tend to gravitate more towards these controls and the technical controls than they do the others, but the others are very, very important as well. In fact, if you look at any of the recent breaches around security and the ransomwares and where they started, they tend to start with a breach of protocol around the people side and the processes rather than a technological breach, i.e. somebody let somebody in to do something. So let's have a look at the technological controls and the groups, the families that I've put them in within technological controls in Annex A. So these aren't a part of 27001 in terms of the themes that I've come up with, but the controls obviously are. So the first theme that I have created is access and identity management, and this covers 8.1 through 8.5. And we've got things in there like making sure that the endpoint devices are protected. You've got privileged access rights, how you manage those. Access to source code is restricted through things like GitHub and stuff like that. And then you've got sort of secure or authentication methods, making sure you're using MFA and things that can support secure access and identity. Then you've got system infrastructure and the security, looking at capacity management, make sure that you don't run out of space, because if you run out of space then people can't access their data. Protection against malware is something that's in there, and you'll have to describe how you do that. The management of technical vulnerabilities, how are you patching your infrastructure, making sure that there aren't vulnerabilities that can be exploited there. And then you've got things like information deletion, so making sure that once you're no longer needing information or you have no actual need to process it, then you're getting rid of it, which falls kind of under GDPR anyway. The third group I have here is about data protection and integrity control. So we're looking at things like data masking under 811, which is to hash out test data, for example. So you can't take test data from your live system and just use it as is. You hash out things like Alan Parker's name to just A and then P, hash, hash, hash. Your system still runs in testing, but you're making sure that you're masking the data whenever you're pulling out for other uses, which is quite important. That you've got good backup plans and you can evidence those, and then you've got redundancy of information processing facilities to make sure that you've got high availability in your design. Now, it's only what's relevant for you and your business. It doesn't have to be full failover to our hot site or anything like that. It's just about what's relevant for your business and asking you to determine and write that down. The next group is logging and monitoring and a little bit of time management. So you need logs of access and things that are going on within your system, whether that's somebody that's making a record change or people logging in from outside. It's to the level that's appropriate for your business, and that you're monitoring these things so that you're kind of being notified if something is happening in the logging to bring your attention to it. 817 then is about clock synchronization and making sure your sources of data clocks are synced to a uniform place. 5 then is about secure operations and change management. And this covers quite a wide variety of things that fall into this bucket. From 818 through to 824, you're looking at things about restricting who's got access to powered utilities, things that could potentially damage if misused, that people can't just install any old software they want on any system that they want, that there's at least a process for approval in there, that you have things like segregation of networks, separating your production from your staging and test networks, if that's appropriate for your business, might not be. And then you've got web filtering of some sort of description. And then if you're using cryptography, which most people are, even if you might not immediately think about it, you probably are using some sort of encryption certificates and things like that. And how are you managing those? So that, if somebody can't get their hands on it and then misuse it, or you lose your cryptography keys and then suddenly you can't manage your own systems. And then the final grouping is not applicable to everybody, but if you're doing a lot of software development, then you need secure development and testing procedures that you've documented and communicated to your devs so that they know what good looks like when it comes to security. So there you go. It is quite a lot. There's 34 controls in this area, and they require the most amount of work, I think, in ISO 27001. But again, it's only about what's right for your business.